Right, welcome everyone. We're going to talk a little bit about actual uses of generative AI, and I'm really lucky to have Mert next to me. So I see Mert as a bit of an outsider and an insider, and I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself. But where you're really special, apart from your new podcast, is the fact that you've been in there doing real things in CPG brands, and as a CEO of a AI business, trying to get adoption of this technology for us is exciting.
Exactly.
So I'm hoping we can talk a little bit about, how you've got these projects working and these projects. So Mert, before that, like, introduce yourself.
Thank you. Very glad to be here. Thanks for joining us, and very happy to be with this team. Mert Damlapinar. I worked in CPG industry over 17 years in global enterprises like Johnson & Johnson, Sabra, PepsiCo, Mondelez, and L'Oreal, and mostly in e-commerce roles, managing the sales organization and the director and VP of e-commerce at the global level. But to your question, the clicking point for me was the intersection between the commerce, digital marketing, and the data. When I realized this back in 2016, we were heavily engaged with MarTech solutions and growing our tech stack. And I call it Bermuda Triangle. First, I started in e-commerce, then I started educating and improving myself on digital marketing, and the data came into play. And now we're in the reality of AI, automation, scale, and acceleration while we monitor the efficiency. And that's why I'm happy to be sharing this experience into the sharing knowledge with other CPGs, talking to Fortune 500 CPG leaders about how this growing and emerging technologies can shape our CPG world. That's where I'm about to start.
Very well said. So I'm going to start with a little bit of background, I feel, on the market before we dive into some sort of real use cases. And you can see some of the stats ahead of you. But what strikes me less, these numbers, you can make numbers seem good from anything. They're big numbers. But what strikes me the most is the speed of change, and particularly around large language models and generative AI. It's the speed things are changing, really, rather than the numbers they're at,
right,
or where they go and the people are getting involved. And I think that makes it very difficult to get a project up and running in these things because they move so quickly. So talk a little bit about how you've coped with that change, how you've managed to get people to buy in and actually commit to trying something and getting to the end of it without it all changing again.
Perfect. Well, in the business world, I'm sure many of you have been in similar situations. When a tech solution being built and presented to business users in the organization, the adoption and engagement is one of the biggest hurdles for this tech solution or IP capability to be used and benefiting the company. One crucial example to this question would be L'Oreal, because when I joined L'Oreal, they hired me as a global director of e-commerce, but when I joined and hand over the job, I realized that, okay, I'm a product owner of a direct e-commerce solution. I'm not the managing the P&L, but I'm building a tech solution for the e-commerce business. And the goal was translating business use case and the real business impact for internal users of the company to the tech people, DevOps people, building those technology. And I was basically creating the futures, managing the backlog, and making sure that end users adapting and engaging with this new technology we're building for them. Therefore, we can see the top line and bottom line business impact of the solution.
So you're almost like a chief product officer of a software business rather than a CPG project manager.
Perfectly well put, because with the Safe 5 Agile certifications we might have, with the scale Agile Scrum Master organization experience we might have, at the end we're impacting e-commerce business and helping digital commerce directors and VPs. You're right, it was a chief product officer / director of e-commerce.
And how do you decide in that? So at Dragonfly, we're really proud that we can predict where people's attention will be, and we've worked on that as the number one thing we can do, because we know that intercepting that moment can get the marketing message or the message in the right place. But so for us, it's a very clear proposition. When you're going into a project like this, where you've got pressure to show a big ROI, how do you select who you're going to work with, and how do you put the team together to make sure? This is an amazing case study, by the way, but how did you actually make it happen?
In some cases, in the CPG companies, we have dependencies to our tech partners and brand partners, agency partners, but sometimes we take the liberty to build something on our own and take the risk. Therefore, we have to evaluate so many technologies. We have to evaluate so many SaaS and agency partners, different solutions, to make the puzzle work for us. In this case, L'Oreal has 6,500 different sites. And we manage a lot of content, as you can imagine, out of 36 different global brands. And when we deployed meta text back in 2022 on our digital content engine, and this digital content engine was built back in 2017, we realized that even for 2022 technology was not enough robust and fast for us. And then, of course, Gen AI and ChatGPT came along, and we started looking how can we speed up our content and creative generation, because we work with global media agencies, and there's growing demand for the media investments, starting with the retail media, but we're not updating our digital shelf. We're not updating our content pages effectively and fast enough. Therefore, we need automation tools like AI solutions of Dragonfly AI, where we can see saliency scores of the creatives, where it will have the right impact at the right context for the consumer before in flight. Because most of the time we have these measurements traditionally after campaign is finished. But giving this power to us, measuring the image impact on the consumer's eye and the reaction, break down with different KPIs pre-flight, and be able to automate this at speed was a really game changer. And when L'Oreal made this change from meta text to open ChatGPT, we reduced basically 120,000 hours of creative preparation. So suddenly digital assets were prepared much faster, and we were able to predict the outcome of these creatives on either product detail page, on social media campaign, or any other promotions we run in different mediums. Therefore, implementation of these tech solutions, partnership with these tech partners, educating our teams, upskilling the end users, and deploying them at scale at global markets, bringing many outputs for our business is crucial. So this is one of the case studies, basically helped globally scale content, meta titles, meta descriptions of 6,500 pages over 38 different brands was really impactful. And if you look at some KPIs, unless you have a different angle to it, we can talk about digital self-impact. When we made those changes, and when you can speed up your digital content supply chain at an effective and accurate level, and when you partner with a product company like Dragonfly AI and many others, the measurable outcome is the glory or holy grail. Many companies are not able to measure and report this. So when you make those changes, in our case, route to market of creatives will be 40 to 50% faster, meaning that our brand teams across multiple markets will be able to deploy those creatives to these product detail pages and marketplaces 40, 50 times faster. And you know that most of the time, product detail page updates, even at CSV and Excel upload.
When everyone complains about doing it as well. So I'm quite
And top line revenue growth will be anywhere between 15 to 18%. Top line revenue increase because of the content improvement and the conversion rate improvement.
So you've gone in, I would say, in a modified role for CPG. So normally when we see CPG run such complex projects, it's almost like a project manager. You've gone in as a product designer, and you've tried to create a backlog. You've got clear KPIs. It sounds like you've done some amazing things in there. The next thing for me is that how do you get adopted then in the organization? Because it is all good having like an amazing slide, but and you say amazing business impact, which you've measured, which is like your gold class. But how did you make sure this was then adopted after you completed this project? And all your projects.
The crucial part is getting the feedback and input from the internal users of those cross-functional teams in the beginning. Sales and commerce teams, media and marketing teams, brand and digital content teams / agency partners, and sometimes even supply chain teams who is working on demand planning and forecasting. When we get input from those internal users early on and translate it, because my job is basically translating business use case and user feedback to the tech dev team or solution partner. When we're able to translate it rightfully so and building in the right order in terms of timeline and product roadmap, our tech partners are easy and fast enough to deliver the right setup for us. Because not every product is out-of-the-box solution. Every product needs customization for different enterprise, different markets. And some tech companies are more prone to do these customizations. If we're able to translate the business user input and the required outcome of this, tech partners are easy and much more comfortable to deliver it. If we leave this process in the reverse order and hire the best engineers, best data scientists in the world, and expect them to understand our brands, our business model, our markets in a 3-month project, and then try to expect the business users adopt this product, we have thousands of dusty products dead in the drawers or top shelf, which was never deployed or adopted.
Gotcha.
That was a game changer for us. We brought business people into the product development cycle and have them lead the product.
So there's an irony, isn't there, when I first came up, I was going to talk about real AI and how it's getting used, but it seems it's more about the way you work with the people. You know,
Yes.
the shift from going from being a project manager and working at length with these technologies to being in it.
Right.
and setting up the backlog and, you know, designing the product feels to me the big shift. And I know you're starting eCommert, which is going to be your podcast. I can't wait to hear. So I know you're going to get, you know, some more people talking on it and the other inside. And that, you know, it'd be amazing to hear that, because I feel that's what maybe as technologists, I know from Dragonfly's perspective, we miss, is that there's a transformation inside a big business that needs to happen, you know, in order for these technologies to work. And that's more important maybe than even the technology. But I would like to talk about the technology. So we're in a world at the moment where probably pretty much all of these talks are about some kind of AI and generative. So I apologize for riding the wave on that. But it would be great with your unique perspective just to hear a few of the cool generative AI like early projects that are going on, so you can get them out. If you use your technique of being a product owner and get them in, what can we expect to see in the future of generative AI?
The previous case study we discussed is a great example of AI-powered search engine optimization, and I call it AIPS, or AI-powered search.
Is that yours, or is that?
I don't know, probably somebody else monikered it already, but if not, I'm happy to phrase it for the first time. But I call it AIPS, AI-powered search. All these meta text, meta title updates and the scale and speed with the Gen AI solution allows better context, better experience for the consumer. Because now brands are able to dynamically shift and update these context and content within this context for the consumer.
Yeah.
Whatever context they are shopping in. Another one is also, of course, creative generation. And you saw these recent release from Amazon AWS within the Bedrock. So now, like Dragonfly is another component to this power engine. You need to generate the content at speed and scale, but you need to know which creative is the best creative to be put out there, because you can generate 100 different creatives, but if it doesn't have the right descriptive set, if it doesn't get recognized, if it doesn't have delivering the message, it doesn't matter how many creatives you generate in 3 seconds. So you need to know which creative set or selected creative will be best performing in your campaign or PDP. So these complementary solutions will support each other. Another one is fraud detection. We use a lot of fraud detection with Gen AI powered tools for loyalty and digital coupon programs, and we'll launch a product about this with P&G.
Right.
Basically, if you're running a $30 million digital coupon program in a massive market like UK, there is always churn, but there is always fraud as well. So you need to rely on those technology solutions to reduce the amount of fraud, and therefore make this money work for your consumers as well as your retailer partners, but not for the bad intention people out there. Another use case we use a lot lately is also about the supply chain optimization, because we have demand forecast and forecast planning for quite some time. But now, Gen AI solutions with computer vision capability, detecting the shelf locations in each doorstep, and then combining with the distribution center inventories, then reporting back to the marketing teams is making a big difference. Why? Because if your campaign is running too fast, and if you're risking running out of stock in the next 48 hours, you shouldn't be spending more money to driving traffic to this product detail page. There should be a closed loop communication at rapid speed. And this can be done with only computer vision, Gen AI demand planning, and the communication loop to the marketing team. Those are the solutions right now gaining traction. And CPGs are willing to invest more money into those solutions, whether it's IP or tech partners. And there will be a lot of excitement and learning in the coming years.
And it feels as if we've got two sides. You have the generative platforms, and then you have what we see with Dragonfly then is the kind of prompt engineer, if you like. So the, oh, by the way, this is right, and the generative, and then, you know, so you get that kind of speed. So do you see it the same way when you're classifying these solutions? How do you pick your partners? Do you pick a sort of big partner to generative and then smaller partners that might do the prompt engineering, or do you just try and take a step back and there's no logic to this?
We always take a step back, because there are different variables. I mean, there are many big, well-known industry names out there, very big players in the generative AI domain, and we shared some of them in the previous slides. But you need to find the right combination. You need to find the right partner meeting your business demands, meeting the upskill level of your teams. Sometimes technology is so robust and so unmodular. It's not adjustable for our teams, and our teams' maturity level are different from market to market. Southeast Asia team is quite different than Latin American team. Or UK and American teams are well mature and well advanced, but we have a MENA market very fast growing. So compatibility of the solution, willingness of the partner to customize the solution for the brand's needs at the different markets, and then also the business impact of the solution are most three variables we look at. But again, it's different scenario for each engagement.
Brilliant. I'm going to ask one more question. I hopefully have time for that. And I'm going to reverse the question. So I'm going to give you a second to think about it because it's slightly unfair. Which piece of technology have you seen which definitely isn't going to work? I know that's not, I didn't brief you on that, but I want to give these guys something a bit more interesting. Well, just to give you a second then, if you get the opportunity, we'd love to see you over at the Dragonfly stage or in the attention tent, and you can come and see some real AI working, which hopefully has given you enough time to give me one blooper, one piece of AI technology that is not going to be coming anywhere near.
Well, it's really hard to say. It's a bold prediction.
You're not allowed to say Dragonfly.
If I may. No, this is not discussed as well. I've used Dragonfly in 2 different companies at 2 different capacities, and we see which company or which technology is open to evolving itself into the market needs. They're definitely going to thrive.
Thank you. That's very kind.
But one technology out of AI that wouldn't work for the CPG or the global e-commerce, we had a couple of them in the past. A couple of the companies approached to me, and they used this kind of, scoring of content without content being deployed. And again, prediction of content before if it's deployed and benchmarked against a category, benchmarked against the brands and benchmark a brand market is just like generating text without using the context. So what's the most important part of any LLM model out there today? Training your LLM and making it context-based.
Yes.
So we have some solutions coming out there. We generate the content at scale. We generate 5,000 ASINs in a week. But yes, are you benchmarking against content category and brand dynamics? No, we're just writing letters and ones and zeros. So this technology definitely didn't work, and it will fail, continue to fail.
I like that. And thank you for allowing me to turn the question. I wanted to give something a bit interesting. You can see why it's going to be fun on eCommert, which I'm sure is going to be a great success. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen as well.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for both of you for giving some rock solid examples how this story. If you like that, stay in your seats because Steve's joining me on stage now for a panel to go and dive a bit deeper. You've got a podcast upcoming. Don't forget to subscribe if you.
eCommert is launching on July 8th.
There you go. You heard it here first. Get in. You've made a friend. So thank you very much. If we could just give a couple of minutes to turn the room around.